Okay, we're up to the Mishnah at the bottom of Ches on the days. We're up to Ches on the day. And we're continuing the Ein Bains. The Ein Bains were a different variety of very, very different halachas regarding different things. So Ein Bains Svarim L'Tfilin U'Mezuzos. There's no difference between Svarim. Now Rashi says, what is Svarim? Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim, Tanakh. And those days they were written in parchment, with scrolls as we have this manazeh. So Ein Bains Svarim L'Tfilin U'Mezuzos. Elisha Svarim Nichtavim B'chal Lashon. Mashma the Svarim Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim could be written in any language. Any language, guys. You hear this Kiddush. The Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim could be written in any language. But Tefillin Mezuzos ain't Nichtavim El Ashuris. And Tefillin Mezuzos can only be written. Rashi says Ashuris is Lashon HaKodesh. Pashtus Ashuris is a type of alphabet, not a language. Ashuris over here, Rashi's teaching. It means what? It means Lashon Kodesh. It means, according to Rashi, it means Lashon Kodesh. Rav Shimon Leimer, he argues on the Reisha. The Reisha said that Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim can be written in any language. It says what? Sfarim le'yatiru shichtu el yavanis. Besides Lashon Kodesh, it was only permitted to go ahead and be read Yavanis. Let's see Rashi here, guys. It says Rashi in the Mishnah, Sfarim is Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim. Ashuris is Lashon HaKodesh. Again, Rashi is learning Ashuris, not the Jewish alphabet, not the Hebrew alphabet as we have it, which is Pashut Pshat. He's learning it's Lashon Kodesh. And Shimon says, Af b'Sfarim le'yatiru lehem Lashon Acher chutz miLashon Kodesh el Yavanis. The only other, as opposed to the Tanna Kamma says it can be written in any language, he says no, only two. Which two? Lashon Kodesh and Greek, and we'll have to see what's unique about Greek. Yes, what can I do for you?
So what do the letters look like in the Shuris versus?
Like our letters. Like our letters.
Is the other one, right? What's the other?
Ivri's
Yeah, Ivri, you never saw Ivri. Ivri, you did see it. It looks like Chinese. If you ever see the ancient, there's a Gemara in, I think it's the Sanhedrin, the Chafs. The Gemara says the Torah was written in Ivris, which is hard to reconciliate with the Torah, the Zicha, the Luchas were written in Ashuris because we saw the Mem and the Samech, right? It's a nest, so it had to be written unless Ivris was also that way. I'm not sure, but that's okay. So again, this is Ivri versus Ashuris, good. And I thought, according I think the first Torah that we had written in Ashuris was Ezra.
So it resulted in Ashuris.
Again, you don't even know what Ivri is. We don't know what Ivri is. But bottom line is, Rashi's chiddush over here is Ashuris is an alphabet. Rashi's saying it's Lashon Kodesh. For all intents and purposes, why do we have halacha? According to our Mishnah, Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksuvim can be written in any language. Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksuvim can be written in any language. And Rabbi Shimon Gamliel argues in that point. It says it can be only written in two languages, the Lashon Kodesh and Greek. However, Tefillin Mezuzos, they can only be written what? In Ashuris. Tefillin Mezuzos can only be in Ashuris. That's what it says over here. Okay, now, says the Gemara, ha l'toifra begidin, right? But ulatame es yadayim zev es shavim. The halacha that you have to take when you put together tefillin, and Rashi learns Rashi shita mezuzah also can be two pieces. Rashi shita also can be two pieces. Then you only use sinus from a live animal. You can't use thread. It has to be sinus, and that it's metame b'yadayim. Also, they would be equal. In other words, there would be no difference. Ein bain between Svarim and Tefillin Mezuzos only regarding this halacha, regarding the halacha being Matama Yadayim and requiring sinus to sew them together, they would be equal. And again, just to reiterate, what's the halacha Matama Yadayim? They used to keep the Truma was a Dava Kodesh and Svarim were a Dava Kodesh. They kept them together. So the hands were with Tamei, you'd be Matama the Truma. So in order, what did they do? They were geyser on Svarim that they were Tumah, because what was happening, the rats, the mice were coming and they were eating the Truma and they were eating up the Svarim. So therefore, to avoid that problem, they made your hands your hands would become tamei from the sefer. But mainly, you wouldn't keep truma near it. You wouldn't keep truma near the sefer. So linking those two halachas, they are the same. Okay. So again, one more time, guys. We covered Rabbi Z. One more time. We have tefillin and mezuzah only lashon kodesh. Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim any lashon according to the Tanna Kamma, and according to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, no, only lashon kodesh and or Yavanis, Greek. Okay. Says the Gemara, I'm going to ask you a stira. So I hope you have your phones, because I sent something out to your phones this morning. I sent out a chart. So we're going to have a stira. Okay, and we're gonna get your charts out, and we're gonna do this much quicker than normal. Okay. Yes, Sim, here's your chart. I just need that. Thanks. Guys, we're in business. We're in business over here on the this thing over here. Yeah, we're good. Okay, good. Okay, so we have over here. Our Mishnah says that it can be written in any language. We're going to ask from a stira that says Dafka Ashuris. Dafka Ashuris, and this means the alphabet, guys. This means means any language. No, Dafka Hebrew. Dafka Hebrew. Got it? So we have a stira. Our Mishnah says Torah Nevi and Kesuvim, any language, and we're going to have a brayso that says no, Dafka what? Dafka Lashon Kodesh. Okay, we're going to have a bunch of different answers. The first answer is Rava. Says Rava what? That the Mishnah, the translation written Ashuris, right? That means our Mishnah says the translation was written in Ashuris, and the brisa, it can be written in a foreign language. It's speaking about the handwriting. Let's see it inside. It'll become clearer. Uramin, I'll ask you a stira. Mikra shekosav targim, a pasuk, something that should be written in Hebrew that you wrote in Aramaic. V'targim shekosav mikra, or something that was supposed to be written in Aramaic, you wrote it in Hebrew. Ksav ivri, einoi mitama es yadayim. They're not mitama yadayim. Ad sheyichvu b'ksav ashuris ala sefer b'dayoi. So what do you see? That you can't write it what in any language. You have to write it dafka in either Hebrew or Aramaic, but you won't be able to write what in any language, which is exterior to our Mishnah, because our Mishnah said any language. Amar Rav Kash, it's not a problem. Kan b'gufa shelanu, the translation is written in Ashuris, right? Our Mishnah that says the chaloshin, that means you wrote it, but you didn't change the ksav. You just changed the lashon. So you wrote it in Hebrew. You wrote it in Hebrew, but it was a translation.
Transliteration?
Yeah. In other words, the ksav was Hebrew, but the language, it was English written in Hebrew. It was English written in Hebrew. It was French written in Hebrew. So Masha'en Kain, Khan, the Bryce is speaking, the Gufa Shelahen is what? When the Bryce is speaking written in a foreign language totally, that you can't write it in a foreign language. So it's speaking about two different things. Our Mishnah is speaking about Taki wrote it in Hebrew. But what? It was translation written in Hebrew. And it was translation written in Hebrew. And the Bryce that says that everything that what? Is speaking where it was written in a foreign language, right? It was written in a foreign language. There, it wasn't good. It was written. No, it was written. It wasn't written in Hebrew. It's written totally in the foreign language. Amish is Hebrew. That's a foreign language. That's Rav Teretz. Amalei Abai says, "Bai b'mayu kim tolahi b'kufa shalahen." You said that the Bryce is speaking what where it's in a foreign language. So ma'yir mikra shekosav targum v'targum shekosav mikra. I feel shekosav mikra v'targum shekosav targum nami. The ketani ad sheichtvenu ashuris al sefer b'dayoy. Now, guys, look at the Bryce. Let's go back to the Bryce. To understand Abaya's question on Rava, we have to see the Bryce again. So look back at the Amid base. Uriminu mikra shekosav targum v'targum shekosav mikra. In other words, not the whole sefer. Some Hebrew part that's written in Aramaic, some Aramaic part written in Hebrew, Ksav Ivri, and anything written in Ksav Ivri is not B'tam Yadayim until it's written in Ksav Ashuris. And what are you telling me? This is speaking about what? This is speaking about it's written in a foreign language. You're speaking about it's written in a foreign language. So if it's written in a foreign language, you just told me it has to be written in Ashuris, foreign handwriting. Guys, foreign handwriting, right? You just told me from the Brisa, it has to be in Ashuris. So why did you need that other component? Targum, Mikra, Targum. Forget the Targum, forget the Mikra. The fact that it's not written in Ashuris is not good. In other words, you need to write in Ashuris, correct? And you're telling me the brisa, it's not written in Ashuris. How could that possibly be shot in the brisa? The brisa was makbid on the Hebrew, Aramaic, and Hebrew. The Hebrew Aramaic doesn't have to do with anything. It's not written in Ashuris. So the Rav is teretz. It's not a good teretz. Rav wanted to be teretz. I'm just speaking about its translation written in Ashuris, and the brisa that has a problem is speaking about what written in a foreign handwriting, and therefore you have to write. It has to be in Ashuris, and it doesn't make any sense because you say mikra, targum, mikra. Forget about those two components. The fact that it's written in a foreign language isn't good. So that's not a good pshat, according to Abayi's question on Rav. So Ella, what's the second pshat? Ha, Rabbanon Habashim Gamliel. Okay, look at we have the chart here. Abayi, the second teretz, says our Mishnah that says svarim in any language is the Rabbanon, and the one that says that it has to be written in Hebrew is Reb Shimon Gamliel. Now, what's wrong with this? Well, no, what's wrong with this? You're not limited to Hebrew. It could include Greek. Again, the end of the brisa says the only thing it can be written is in what is no Hebrew. But like Reb Shimon Gamliel, he accepts Greek also. Again, same kasha, the same stira, right? You have Amish is saying any language. We say Dafka Hebrew. So Amish is the Rabbanon who says any language. The brisa is Reb Shimon Gamliel. You can't say, guys. What does the brisa say? At sheyichtavu b'ksav Ashuris, right? The only thing it can be is Ashuris. But like Reb Shimon Gamliel, it can be Greek also. So it can't be shot in the brisa. Right? So that's the time of the Gemara. So Eloi Kasha, Rabbanon Reb Shimon Gamliel. Frank Gemara, Reb Shimon Gamliel, ha'ika Yavanis, you have Greek. Eloi Kasha, third teretz, guys. Our Mishnah, when it says any language, is speaking about this Torah Nevi'im and Ksuvim. The brisa that saying Ashuris is only speaking about Tefillin Mezuzah. And our Mishnah agrees with that. Guys, what does our Mishnah say? Our Mishnah says, Ma bein, what's the difference between Svarim and Megillah and Tefillin Mezuzah? Svarim could be in any language. Tefillin Mezuzah, Dafka Ashuris. The brisa agrees. That's what the brisa is speaking about, right? What's the problem with this, guys? What's in Tefillin Mezuzah? Where do you have mikra, targum, mikra? You look in the parsha. To go through the Hebrew parsha, Tefillin, you go through Shema Yisrael and the Mezuzah. There is no Aramaic. Bishlema mikra. I have good. You can't tax into targum. I got a lot of mikra. I got a lot of Hebrew, right? Bavu state Aramaic. And again, it's got to be Aramaic. The brisa says you can't write Aramaic into Hebrew. That's what it says in the brisa. And you're telling me what's the brisa speaking about? Tefillin and mezuzah. Abavu state Aramaic into tefillin and mezuzah. So it doesn't fit. You with me, guys? It doesn't fit. As I stating mine. Says the one inside. One more time. Elul Kasha Khan. The Svarim Amish is speaking about Torah Nevi'im Ksubim. Khan the brisa is speaking about tefillin and mezuzah. Fred Gemara. Tefillin and mezuzah is my timer. What's the reason it has to be in Hebrew? Right? It has to be what? Right? It has to be azay. That's the way it has to be. Fred the Gemara, my targum shekasu mikra ikka. What targum shekasu mikra is there in tefillin and mezuzah? Bishleim Torah ikka. Guys, in the Torah you have Yigar Sadusa. We know the Maiso when Lavan and Yaakov meet up. Lavan chases after Yaakov. Lavan wants to kill him. Kadosh Baruch Hu comes to him in a dream, gives him a zug, gets up. They're kairos a bris. He says, "Let's make a bris." They take a pile of stones and set it up. Says Lavan, Yaakov called it Galed, and Lavan called it Yigar Sadusa, and that's Aramaic. So Bishlei Torah has Aramaic. Oh, but Tefillin Mezuzah, they don't. So now, Elahacha might know. Totfos might be African. Tat. Elahacha might targemika. So guys, we're stuck, fellas. Let's go over the chart again, guys. It's over the chart. Rava says our Mishnah is speaking about something translated into Ashura, a translation of Ashuris. The other one's written totally foreign language. Can't be. The Brisa says it's speaking about Ashuris. Abaya says Rabbanan, and the Brisa says Reb Shimon Gamliel. Can't be because Reb Shimon Gamliel doesn't only accept Ashuris, he accepts Greek also. Third teretz, our Mishnah is speaking about Sifrei Tanakh, Torah Nevi'im Ksuvim, and the Brisa is speaking about Tefillin Mezuzah. 1 second. The Brisa says you can't go ahead and translate Hebrew into Aramaic or Aramaic into Hebrew. What? Aramaic isn't there Tefillin Mezuzah. So far we've rejected the first what? the first few pshatim have been rejected, right? The first few pshatim have been rejected. So now we're going to offer some more pshatim. I just have to make this smaller so people can see it. There you go. So we're going to offer now number 4 and number 5, and these are going to hold up. Okay, let's see it inside. Ella loy kasha kan b'Megillah. The Bryce is speaking about Megillah kan b'Sfarim. So guys, our Mishnah, terrace number 4, guys, our Mishnah can be speaking the Sifrei Tanakh. Torah Nevi'im Kesuvim can be written in any language. Good. And what about the Brisa? The Megillah, Esther, has to be written in Aramaic. Excuse me, it has to be written in Hebrew. The Gemara is going to ask the question, where do you have Aramaic in the Megillah, right? Okay, so good. So it has to be written in Hebrew, Bashuris. So my timer, it has to be according to their language. The language was spoken was Hebrew. So Memel, that's the way it has to be. Fred the Gemara, my targum shekosum mikra ikka. Again, filling in the brisa, you need Aramaic translate. You can't translate Aramaic into Hebrew. Good. What Aramaic is there in the Megillah? You're saying the brisa is the Megillah. Where do we have Aramaic in the Megillah? So Amar Papa, it says v'nishma piskam amelech, and the word piskam, the words of the king. Word piskam, guys, is Aramaic word. Rav Nachman Yitzchakama v'chol hanoshim yitnu yakar. Yakar means lebalayim, and all nashim should give yakar, covet to the husband. Yakar is an Aramaic word. Yakar is an Aramaic word. So therefore, this holds water. That teretz number 4 to answer the stira, guys. You have number 4 holds water. You have the Sefer Tanakh versus the Megillah. Megillah has to be written Lashon Kodesh versus what? Torah Nevi'im Kesuvim can be written in any language. Rashi says, Ki Tanya Hi Bishar Sfarim. When is that speaking about? Bishar Sfarim, right? For Rabbi Yehuda, Pirish. The Brisa is speaking about Nevi'im Kesuvim, right? According to Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya, Tefillin Mezuzah Ein Nechtavim El Ashuris. Tefillin Mezuzah can only be written in Ksav Ashuris. Rabbi Seinu Tiru Yavanis, and Achachamim permitted Yavanis. Who's the Chachamim? Obviously, Rav Shem Gamliel. I Vaksiv V'Hoyu. As I can be written in Yavanis, this is V'Hoyu Azoy Dav Zayin. That's the way it has to be. Ela Ema say Svarim Nechtavim B'Chalashin. Svarim can be written in any language, which is our Mishnah. Rabbi Seinu Tiru Yavanis, which is our Mishnah, right? Rabbi Seinu Tiru Yavanis. Hetiru, when it says Hetiru, the Chaldu Tanakama Asa, which isn't true. Our Tanakama says any language, and we're being even more mako. They only permitted that language. Only, that's only besides Hebrew is Yavanis. The Tanya Amar Yehuda, Av Kishetiru Rav Seinu Yavanis, Leitiru Ela B'Sefer Torah. They only permitted a Sefer Torah, which we'll go ahead and meet in a second. So, guys, it comes like this. According to Rav Ashi, our Mishnah is speaking about what? The Torah. According to Rav Ashi, Rashi, that the Bryce is speaking according to Rabbi Yehuda, that Nevi'im and Kesuvim had to be written Lashon Kodesh. Masha'enkin, the Torah could be written in any language, and that's our Mishnah. On the chart, I wrote the wrong thing. I wrote Sefer Tanakh. It really should be Torah. The last thing should be Torah. Okay, so now you have 5 terutzim. The first 3 were slugged up, and the latter 3 to answer the stira. Number 4 is Sifrei Tanakh and Bryce's Megillah. And why is Megillah Dafkan Lashon Kodesh? Because it says Ksavim L'Shoinam. Rav Ashi changed that bottom thing on your phone to Torah. And then over here, Nevi'im Kesuvim, because Rabbi Yehuda says Nevi'im Kesuvim, and that's our try. Now, why would Torah be different? Why would Torah be different than Nevi'im Kesuvim? That only has more Kedusha. But why would it be permitted? It's according to Ma'aseh of Talmai HaMelech. Talmai was the king he was one of the kings after Alexander the Great. He was a king in Alexandria, Mitzrayim, and he was according to Sefer Yosifon, he was compiling a library. And he got a tremendous amount of books and everything, because he sent out these people with a lot of money. They bought books from Persia and probably from China, from all over. And he said the only people we couldn't get something from is the Jews. Couldn't get anything from the Jews. The Jews, because they're very secretive people, nothing, but they have something, the 5 books of Moses, right? Anyway, Talmai went ahead, and the Ma'aseh that was going to occur, he got 72, according to Yosef, and 72, they put him in different rooms to write down the Torah. Miraculously, they all wrote the Torah with all the same shinuyim. They all changed the same thing. And what the Gemara we're going to go through now is the changes they made in the Torah, and each change was to avoid something bad may come out as a result, either some apikursis or some questioning of basically apikursis that might come about. Okay, so now this is the mice that happened, and this would explain why. Good copy. Okay, it would explain why Talmai, why the Torah could be written in another language because it is Maisa. And there's the famous Maisa. The Tanya Maisa v'Talmai HaMelech shekines Shiva v'Shnayim Zakanim. He put 72 Zakanim. He brought them to Alexandria. V'chnisam b'Shivim Shnayim Batim, and he put them in 72 houses. V'legilu lahem al mak kinsam. He didn't tell them why he brought them down. V'nichnas eitz kalecha v'yechad. He went to each and every one of them. V'yamalahem, listen, Kisvili Taurus Moshe Rabchem. Write for me what the Taurus Moshe. I want it. Again, Yosefin says I wanted it to my library. So Nasan HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'leiv kalecha v'yechad. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in the mind of each and every one of them. Eitza v'skimu kulam das achas. And they all weren't masking. They didn't get together, but they all in the same kivun, in the same line of reasoning. They all made the same unique changes to the Megillah. They made the same unique changes to the Megillah, which is fascinating, guys. Now, what does it say? It says, what did I say? No, I meant in the Torah. They all made the same sort of Torah. So, Bereshis bara Elokim is what it says in the Torah. Now, guys, you can make a mistake. Someone named Bereshis bara Elokim. Guys, right? Someone named Bereshis bara Elokim. So, because of like Elokim bara Bereshis, they wrote Elokim Hashem created Bereshis. Right. So the Vilna Gaon says that what for a Yid you can begin the Torah with Bereshis and end Einei Kol Yisrael. If it's Einei Kol Yisrael, it begins with Bereshis, but for the Goyim you begin with Elokim. The last words of the Torah is what is Einei Kol Yisrael. So for the Jews, the Einei Kol Yisrael, you begin Bereshis bar Elokim. But for a guy, it's what? It's Elokim bar Bereshis. Now it says Nasa Adam, guys, we will make man. B'tzalmenu kidmusenu. Good. That's what the Torah says. We will make man in our image, in our form. I spoke at it many times. Hashem has no form. Malachim have no form. So according to Rashi in the Torah, it means when Hashem appears to his Nevi'im, he appears as a bas of Adam. The chashivas of the Musa Alakim, Selam Alakim is when Hashem appears to his Nevi'im, he chooses to appear as not as an elephant, not as an aardvark. He appears as a man. Okay, so they changed it. Nasa Adam, it appears like Hashem needed help in creating. So Esa Adam, I will make man, but sell him with the mus. It says, Vayechal Kim Bayom Hashvi, Vayishbas Bayom Hashvi. They changed it to Vayechal Bayom Hashishi. And Hashem completed what on day number 6. They said Hashem completed what on day number 6. Right? So Rashi says, that Hashem worked on Shabbos. That he entered Kichutat Sa'ara, or he created Menucha. So, again, they don't know any lumdis. So we want to avoid any lumdis. We're going to go ahead and speak out what the more less cryptic. They don't have the Torah Sheval Peh. Okay, next. Zacha unekeva bara isam. That's what it should say. Bara isam. Zachan keva baru. V'loikasiv baram. Does say he created them because, and again, we have the Gemara in Eruvin and Ksubis. They were created back to back, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu separated them. And yet in the Torah, it's mashma they were created two separate, one from the other. So therefore, it says, Zachan keva baru. He created him. He created him, guys. Baroi. Zachan keva baroi. V'loikasiv baram. Now it says by the door of Haflaga, it says Hava Nerda, let us go down the Nivla. So they changed it. Not we should go down, but Erda, I'll go down the Evla and I will mix up Shams Vasayim. I'll mix up their language. Again, you don't want anyone thinking that Hashem needs help in any one of these things. It says Vatitzach Sarah Bikirba, and Sarah laughed in herself. Here it says Vatitzach Sarah Bikroiveha, and Sarah laughed to her relatives. Let's see Rashi here, guys. Bikroiveha, Shalay Yoimar al Abraham leihikbid. They shouldn't say, well, by Yitzchak Avram laughed, and he wasn't. They weren't makbid. Yitzchak. When when Avram Avinu was informed about the impending birth of Yitzchak, so it says Avram was happy with Yitzchak and he left. Now Sarah Hikbid, but somebody was makbid, right? They was makbid that Chache Sarah B'kirba. So as the people not saying that Hashem is playing favorites by looking away from Avram's problem versus Sarah. Therefore, it says B'kreivecha Leimar Avram Belibai V'hi Aimer B'kreivecha. Avram said it inside himself internally, whereas Sarah said it externally. Now it says we just had in last week's parsha by Shimon Velevi Achim Ora Arpam Kiyaz, right? Kiba Arpam Hargu Ish Ubetzonam Ikru Shar. That's what it says. Now, mashma from that they kill us, right? That they kill somebody. So what did they change it to? Kiba Arpam Hargu Shar. In their anger, they killed a shar. Ubetzonam Ikru Avos. And their ruts and they utter a trough. So again, to avoid saying that Shimon Velevi were killers, instead of saying that the truth, Kiba Arpam Hargu Ish, that they killed Yosef. No. Vayikach Moshe Sishta Esbanav Vayakiveim Ala Chamar. It says Moshe took Tzipora and his two sons, Eliezer and Gershom, and he put them on donkeys. Now it says they changed them on Noisei ben Yadam. They put them to people carriers. Like these. There'll be a lack of chashivas. Here you have the president, the POTUS of Klal Yisrael, the greatest person in the history, and his wife is riding on a donkey. So to go ahead that they should make fun, he went ahead and said, and they all did this. Every single one of them. 72 people did this. It's mamish and nigla. Now, how long were we in Mitzrayim for, guys? Said 430 years, yeah? Big Torah, guys. How 430? The Cheshbonis, the birth of Yitzchak. They went to me. We know we're there 400 years. Deduct, Ganze Torah, right? They don't. There's no Torah by Talmud, right? So what did they change? How long was it? 400 years. Really, we have 430, but they changed it to 400. They changed it to 400. It says Vayishlach es anar b'nei Yisrael. They brought kabbanis. It says Vayishlach es anar b'nei Yisrael. Anar b'nei Yisrael yisholach yadai. So to have a nar go bring kabbanis would seem the meaning. So what? So what does it say? Vayishlach es zatute. Zatute is lashon chashivos. So they changed it to reflect that language of chashivos. Again, that was changed. Amid base. Moshe put himself for judgment, just as Shmuel copied him, and he said, did I abuse my position, fellas, to take what? Even a donkey? Mashma, a donkey I didn't take, but something else I could have taken, right? I could have taken this, that, and that thing. So they changed it, any desire, at least sachmoid, any chemed, any desire, I didn't take from you. Again, to avoid any possibility of questioning Moshe's integrity. Asher chalak Hashem elokecha oisam. Now it says lechola amen. Hashem was mechalik you. Now they added the word lahoyer. They added. Look at Rashi. Rashi says lahoyer l'chalamim shem loikain. If they didn't add the word lahoyer, it appears Yoma ben Noach mutabavay zara. In other words, chalak Hashem elokecha lechola amen. Why did he give the sun and the moon? He gave him the sun and the moon l'chola amen. So therefore, we can din avodah zara. So he said, what did he give it for? Lahoyer. He dafka gave it to what? To illuminate, to brighten up, but he didn't give it to serve. So again, they don't want to avoid any possible excuse, pischein peh, that you get from the Torah. Fascinating Gemara. Now, if you would say that, and you will go and serve a God that I didn't command you. Mashma that Hashem doesn't have complete control. I didn't command you, so therefore it says that I didn't command you to serve them. Let's see Rashi on this point. If they wouldn't have added the word la'oivdam, mashma I never commanded them that they should be. They'll say a God against his will, they're there. So therefore, to avoid the possibility to think that Hashem did not create everything, they wrote la'avdam. The cost of life. Now, in the parsha of the animals that are not kosher, it says they are the chazir, the gomel, and the arneves. What the arneves exactly is, is a subject. But let's try it as a here, a rabbit. Good. Rabbits are not kosher. Good. Now, by the word arneves, they changed to seiras haraglayim, that it had short hands. Notice the feet of I think the hands of a rabbit are shorter than the feet of a rabbit, right? So it said they changed it to that lashon. Why didn't they write us arneves? They shall tell me arneves. That was her name. The wife's name was Rabbit. Not White Rabbit. White Rabbit. Look at he's on drugs. Anyway, Shlo Yaimar shouldn't say Sachku Bei HaYehudim. The Jews are making fun of me. Betilu Shem Ishti B'Torah by putting my wife's name in the Torah. So because of Talmai written in Greek, therefore you can write the Torah in Greek as opposed to the Vim Ksuvim according to Rabbi Yehuda. If you're interested, guys, the last mitzvah in the Torah is writing the Sefer Torah. Would you be yotzei a Sefer Torah according to this mission if you write in any language? Ayin Sham. It's a good Torah. In other words, you have over here, based upon this, you write in any language. So good. Sit down in Torah and write down, your name is, you want to write like the English version of the Pentateuch. Remember that version?
Sansina?
No, not Sansina. They're the blue one. The blue one, right? I still remember the Rebbe called on me to read Rashi, and I say, "Thou shall not." I read in the old English, like it goes, "Stern, you cheating?" I said,
No,
me.
not me.
I'm speaking old. I'm speaking old ancient Sir Lancelot English.
My parents were older, but they speak Arabic.
What? No, the worst thing was the Beis Yehuda. They used to learn in Yiddish. You guys, you remember this, the Beis Yehuda, but it only translate a few words, and you had to figure out which one to what. It's my first safe. I still have it. What a disaster! You used to learn in Yiddish. You didn't speak any Yiddish, and the only translation you had was so it said Vayoyim Hashem, and then you look in the Beis Yehuda. It says when God had gesagt soll sein Licht. So I touched Vayoyim Hashem, and God gesagt sein Licht. Sein Licht is garnish. They kept the Yehar. They said Yehar, but so then they never tried. It was like you're lucky, young man. You have a good Rebbe. Right. Okay. Now we said Reb Shimon Gamliel said what? What? I don't know if that's so good. I think it's good, but it's good. It's certainly good. Again, I think it's great for certain people. Now, what?
It comes to Shlishi. It's time to buy and Shabbos.
What?
It comes to Shlishi and Shabbos.
Who Gedalia Vigda ben Meir Yaakov? Okay. Next time he comes out, I want a kiddush from him or some svarim or something. Okay, or else he's not getting a liaf ever. So anyway, so it says that Shimon says that what? He says that Yavonis. Why Dafki Yavonis? Again, Bishlei Ma'atanakam, any language works, but Shimon Gamliel says Dafki Yavonis. What's epis Yavonis? What's unique, special about Yavonis? Amar Avom Riyach. Now, Loch of Shimon Gamliel. In fact, like Shimon Gamliel, you could write the Torah in not only Hebrew, but only Hebrew and only Yavonis. My time of Shimon Gamliel, Amakra, Yaftel Lakim Liyefes. Hashem was Yaftel Lakim Liyefes. V'yishkoim B'alei Shem. Right? What does that mean? The Varav Shal Yefes Yu B'alei Shem. The words of Yefes should be in the Alei Shem. What are the words of Yefes? The language, the Greek language. Right? Maybe he had other children. Yefes had other children. Goimer u'Magoig. Magoig of what? Of Goig u'Magoig fame. Amrav Chivarabba. Hainu Taim D'Chsiv Yefes Yaftel Lakim Liyefes. Yefusa shel Yefes here B'alei Shem. The beauty of Yefes should be in Alei Shem. The beauty of Yefes, Rashi says, is the Lashon. Lashon Yavin, Lashon Yafa, Mishal Kol B'nei Yefes. Of all the sons of Yefes, the best language was what was Yavan. Okay, very nice. It's okay, guys. We'll be Mavata. Yeah. Okay, says the Mishnah. Okay, there is a. Okay, guys, there's in Vayikra Daled Pasuk we have a unique parsha. We're familiar with different karbanas. We learned a little bit about Nedarim. So yesterday, a person can bring an oila, a shlamim, a neder, and a dava. We know a person does an aveira, he can bring a chatas. He can bring a chatas. He can bring an asham. Right? He has to. Not he can be. He has to bring it. And then there's karbanas tzibor. We know the Kabbanis Tiva, the Karban Tamid that was brought every day, and on the Karban Musaf that was born on Shabbos, and on Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Chodesh, the Seir, the different Kabbanis. All those Kabbanis were basically brought on the Mizbeach HaChitzoin. They were brought on the outside Mizbeach. Some of up and tell you good stuff. They were born on the outside Mizbeach. They had different sprinklings of blood. Some the Chatas was on top, above the red line, and it went around, and everything was below the red line, and some went Shnaim Shein Arba. Bechor was one, Pesach was one, Maisa was one, but there was some unique karbanis called Chatas Panemius, where the blood was sprinkled on the Mizbeach Hazav, on the inside Mizbeach. The one we know about is Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, they would bring and sprinkle in front of the Aron. They would sprinkle in between the bottom of the Aron. They would sprinkle then in front of the Paraiches. Then they would go and sprinkle it on the Mizbeach. Now, aside from Yom Kippur, there are other ones. They are in Vayikra Dalid. They are in Vayikra Dalid, and the first one is called the Par Kohen HaMashiach. Here, listen to the pasuk. Vaydavish al Moshe Lemar, Daber b'nei Yisrael Lemar, Nefesh kisech de b'shgaga mikol mitzvahs Hashem asher lo yisasena v'yachas meheina. And he does one of the Averis. Now, this Avera guys carries with Karis. You only bring a Kabar Chatas when the Isser is Karis. If the Kohen, that is Mashiach, Mashma, he's anointed with the Shemen HaMishcha. In order to be a Kohen Gadol, you need an inauguration. What makes you a Kohen Gadol? It's Mashma. In Kohen HaMashiach, he was anointed with the Shemen HaMishcha oil. And if he shechs the Ashma Sha'am, then he's going to bring this Chatas that's inside. And this chatas is brought in front. You sprinkle in front of the paraiches, and you put the dam on the mizbeach. This is called the par kohen Mashiach, or par that's brought in kol mitzvahs. Now, when it says kohen Mashiach, what happened, fellas, when they didn't have the Shemen HaMishcha? We know Yoshiyahu HaMelech hid the Aron. Along with the Aron guys, he hid a few articles. He hid the Tzlucha Shalman. He hid the argaz of gold and mice and gold and other things that the Pelishtim sent back, and in addition, the stick of Aaron, and he also hid the Shemen HaMishcha. So Yeshua was still in the bias Rishon. So any Kohen Gadol that came after Yeshua hitting it, how did it become a Kohen Gadol? And all the Kahanim, we had almost 300 of them in the bias Sheni. How did they become Kahanim Gedolim? Right? What did they do to inaugurate? So they was called Meruba B'Begodim. They put on clothing. In other words, a Stama Kohen uses 4. By adding the additional 4 begodim, right? That's how they became the Kohen Gadol. Is there any halachic difference between the Kohen that was Nimshach HaYedei, the Shemen HaMishcha, and one that was inaugurated using Meruba Megodim, increasing the amount of clothing he wore? That's the discussion of this Mishnah. Ein ben Kohen Meshuach b'Shemen HaMishcha. There's no difference in the Kohen that was anointed with the Shemen HaMishcha, the Meruba Begodim, to the one that became the Kohen Gadol through the increase of clothing. What I just described in Vayikra Dalid, right? That's the only difference. The only one who will bring that is what? Is the Kohen Gadol who was sinned in an Issacharias, but he had to become a Kohen Gadol through being inaugurated with the Shemen HaMishcha. If he was inaugurated with what? With the Begodim, he would never ever bring that carbon. Never. That's the Tanakama. Ein bein Kohen HaMishamish l'Kohen Sha'avar. There's no difference between the Kohen Gadol doing the Avodah to a Kohen Gadol that was taken down. The Kohen Gadol, guys, we did Masech the Yuma. Kohen Gadol was Tameh. He couldn't do the Avodah. Someone took his spot, right? Someone took his spot, yeah? So that's second Kohen. Is there any difference halachically between the Kohen Gadol and that Kohen Gadol for a day or whatever, a week? That's the Kohen, it's called Kohen Sha'avar. He was taken down from his position. Elaparium Kippurim V'Asiras Eifa. The only difference is the Pariyom Kippurim V'Asiras Eifa, meaning the Pariyom Kippah is brought by the Kohen who is the Kohen Gadol, and the Kohen who passed down cannot do that. Do you know the Kohen Gadol brought every day, right? Minchas Chavitin, half in the morning and half in the afternoon. The Kohen Sha'avar could not do that. Only the Kohen Gadol. So 2 did in the Mishnah. One, the difference between the Kohen Meshuach and Meruba Begodim vis-a-vis the par of the Vayikra Dalid, the Chatas Panemius, and now the Kohen Gadol who worked, and the Kohen Gadol was taken down because he only worked to be substitute. The only difference would be the Kohen who substitute cannot bring the par of Yom Kippur, and he can't bring he can't bring that every day. Mashma holin Par Yom Kippurim V'Asiras Eifa Zev Shavin. Mashma that what the Kohen Meshuach could do the avodah with Yom Kippur, and he could bring the Asir Seifa every day. Yeah. In other words, the Kohen Gadol who was inaugurated using the begadim could in fact bring the Yom Kippur karbanis. He could do the avodah Yom Kippur, and he could bring the minchas chavitin every day. Because the only difference you said is regarding Vayikra Dalet carbon, right? Only that unique carbon of the Patas Panemius, but the Yom Kippur carbon and the which is bought every year, and the Sirius Ephod is bought every day. That the Meruba Begadim can do as well as the Kohen Gadol. That's Nimshach. Maslisan like Remeya. Our Mishnah is not like Remeya. Why? The Remeya, he says openly that he Hatanya Meruba Begadim maybe parabal kol mitzvahs. The Remeya, hey guys. What was the first name in the Mishnah? The Meruba Begadim cannot bring Vayikra Dalet. What does Remeya say? He could. Remeya says that carbon, that if the Kohen blows up sack and it's a chorus, and he brings the special carbon, the Meruba Begadim brings it well. Clearly, Remeya can't be the Tan of the Mishnah. Mamish cannot be. He's saying exactly the opposite of the Mishnah. He says he could bring that carbon, right? He cannot bring that carbon. My time of the Remeya. Now, the ayah says the Tanya Mashiach. It says Mashiach mashma, he's nimshach b'shem and mishcha. Ainly elam meshuach b'shem and mishcha. Meruba megadim minayin tamiloyma hamashiach. The extra hey, guys. Hamashiach. So he darshins the first part of the Mishnah. Ain't being koyin and meshuach mishum. That's not true. Remeya can't be the Tana because he agrees that the Meruba megadim in fact could bring that special power. We got a problem, guys, because Remeya it can't be the Tana of the Reisha, but it can only be the Tana of the Seifa. Good. What's the safe of the Mishnah? The my ukimna, how did you set sign the Reisha? Deloy Remeya, not like Remeya, because he said Meruba Begadim could bring it. Aim a seifa, ain bein koyin mishamish lekoyin sha'avar. There's no difference in the koyin does the avodah and the koyin that was taken down because he was just a substitute. Elapar Yom Kippur v'asiras eifa. Hol l'chol devreyen. Everything else, zeh v'zeh shavin. Fellas, if this one sha'avar wants to do the avodah, does he wear the 8 begadim? Yes. He can cut the line anytime he wants, and he wears the 8 begadim. The only thing he can't bring is the par on Yom Kippur and the chavitin. But he could do it. But he could bring what? Mashma. Everything else he's equal. Look. Let's see Rashi, guys, on that. Kol mitzvahs kahuna gedolah alav mishamish beches begadim. He can't take a haircut. Excuse me. He can't let his hair grow. He has to marry a girl who was a basula. He can't marry almana. And he can bring the karbanis when he's an einin. All these unique halakas to what? To a kohen gadol. That one that went down would be right. Again, what's the diak in the Mishnah? The only thing he can't do is par of Yom Kippur and the minchas chavitin. Everything else he would be the same. Good. We're going to see that that's Rabbi Meir. So now you're going to have the Mishnah, the first part of the Mishnah by the power is not like Rabbi Meir, and the second one is like Rabbi Meir. Now we know by now that Rabbi wrote that Mishnayos wants consistency. We want symmetry. That the Mishnah should be according to one opinion, one Tana. Says the Gemara, Aslan Rabbi Meir, that they're equal in all halachas is consequent to Rabbi Meir. The Tanya, Irubah Psul. If a psul happens to the Kohen Gadol, uminin kohen achatachtav, and you go ahead and you point another one in his place. Rishon chaysel avodasai. The first one, when he gets rid of his tumah or his mum, whatever his problem was, he goes back to his original job. Sheni kol mitzvah kahuna gedol love. Everything is on him. Divrei Reb Meir. Everything's on him. These are the words of Reb Meir. Rabbi Yossi Omer Rishon chaysel avodasai. Sheni ena roilo kohen gadol kohen hedit. It's nishtahi and nishtaher. He's not here, neither here nor there. Why? From Rabbi Yossi, Ma'aseh Rabbi Yossi ben Ulam, Mitzipuri, She'iru by Psul b'Kohen Gadol, Uminoi Tachtav. They appointed him to take his place. Ubo Ma'aseh l'fnei Chachamim. The Ma'aseh came in front of the Chachamim. V'amru Rishon Chaysel Avodasoy. The first one goes back. Sheni and Roy Loyal Kohen Gadol, Loyal Kohen Hedjit. Kohen Gadol Mishum Eva. You can't have 2 Karam Gedolim, right? That would cause hatred. Kohen Hedjit Mishum Ma'ilum Mekaydish Lamaridim. Once you tasted the from the good stuff, you can't go back. Once you fly business class, there's no going back. Once you eat Abelus and Hyman, there's no way you're eating meal model or errands. Once you taste Ben Yaakov's falafel, there's no going back, especially someone who would say I don't know, hypothetically, that EMUM falafel in America is better than that. Obviously, an Amoritz Gomer in food. So you should Milo be Kodesh V'Lemeridin.
You should be living in Avenue M and not in Eretz Yisrael.
Reisha Rabbanan the Sefer Rabbeya. The Reisha is Rabbanan the Sefer Rabbeya. Guys, the Reisha is Rabbanan. Why? Because Rabbeya says the Koyim Godim could bring the special power. The Sefer is Rabbeya because the Chacham say that what Rabbi Yossi that you take him that he take him down. And he's nishta here, nishta here. And Rabbeya says, no, he's mamash a kohen gadol. And that's mashma Mishnah. The only thing he's not a kohen gadol for is what? Is the power of Yom Kippur and the minchas chavitim. But everything else he is a kohen gadol for. So it comes out that the Reisha is not Rabbeya and the Sefer is Rabbeya, which is problematic. Amar Chisda in Reisha Rabbanan the Sefer Rabbeya. He knows I have no better pshat, I'll say that. However, Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Yosef says no. It's Rabbi he. The Mishnah is according to one Tana. You know the Tana's name? Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. The Nasi v'al libe the Tanoi. And he, like Rameis, he like what the Chum said in the Reisha, that the Kohen Merubim Begodim cannot bring that power, special power. And he liked what Rameis said in the Sefer, that once he's taken down, he's still a Kohen Gadol, L'chol Davar. Thank you everyone for listening.